This isn't the first time South Africans are calling for their president's resignation. He's survived half a dozen no-confidence votes, as well as a number of court cases. But the launch of graft investigations in the US and the UK against his close aides suggests legal challenges are mounting for Jacob Zuma.
Well, our message to the president is that you can duck and dive and you can carry on and you can get involved in clever legal tricks. But in the end, justice will prevail, whether it's for the president of South Africa or for somebody in the streets of Tshwane.
The FBI has launched a probe into US links of the Gupta family, who are suspected of colluding with Zuma to drain several state-owned companies. The UK's financial watchdog is also investigating whether Standard Chartered and HSBC may have inadvertently facilitated them in shuttling ill-gotten wealth out of the country. And last week, South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeals reinstated 783 counts of corruption and fraud consolidated into 18 charges against the president. The Guptas deny the charges and say they're the victims of a witch hunt. But the accounting firm KPMG, which has been auditing their company accounts, has already admitted to wrongdoing.
In this case, given the failure to appropriately apply our own risk management and quality controls, KPMG South Africa decided that part of the report, which refers to conclusions, recommendations, and legal opinions, should no longer be relied upon.
And pressure is rising to broaden the scope of the investigation. But implicating the president in these cases may take a long time. And with his political support seemingly unwavering, there are no signs Zuma will step down willingly. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Now, for more on this, I'm joined by Terrance Booysen, CEO of Corporate Governance at the South African Research Institute in Johannesburg. Thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Booysen. Now, the UK and now the FBI are investigating the Gupta family. Where does this leave Zuma's rule?
Well, obviously the pressure is mounting for our President Jacob Zuma in South Africa. And as you would have heard by now, last week, Friday, the SCA, our Supreme Court of Appeal, ruled against President Jacob Zuma, where the charges of corruption are now going to be reinstated against him. So clearly this is putting a lot of pressure on President Jacob Zuma and, of course, all those involved allegedly in the corruption of which they've been accused.
So because the FBI is now involved and, as you say, the pressure is escalating, do you think that this will move the dial and that they'll be actually able to get something from the Gupta family?
Absolutely, Maria. In the sense of, if you understand the various legislation overseas, for example, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977, the UK Bribery Act of 2012, these are certainly very, very draconian type legislations where strictly the letter of the law will apply. And of course, I think that's going to have some grave implications in terms of the people who have been embroiled in all this alleged corruption. And of course, the fact that you've got international agencies, policing agencies investigating on top of the South African agencies, this is a hang of a lot that President Jacob Zuma is going to have to deal with. So, yeah, very much so.
And where does this leave investors and business confidence in all this mess?
Well, it's not looking very good in South Africa. The very recent AT Kearney reports have very, very clearly shown how the investment opportunities of South Africa have reduced, is the first area. Of course, in terms of the sentiment on the ground here in South Africa, business is supposedly now feeling its worst in the last 20 to 30 odd years. And of course, if you complement this also in terms of the amount of graft, it adds up to roughly 25 billion rands per annum. And since 1994 to around about 2016, we calculate that approximately 550 billion odd rands has been wasted to graft. So, of course, that has dire implications in our society with an unemployment rate at around about 28% or thereabouts, plus the despondently unemployed. Those figures are adding up to close to 48%. People poverty-stricken, roughly 41%, and people in that 41% sector obviously looking at less than $2 per day. So when you look at the numbers in terms of corruption that we're hearing about, it doesn't leave business, neither civil society, in a very good position, and clearly people are not feeling very happy about it.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for that. That was Terrance Booysen, CEO of Corporate Governance Framework at the South African Research Institute in Johannesburg.